This is a Renpho AI-powered smart bike assembly video. In the next few minutes, I'm going to concisely show you how to build the Renpho bike. Also, just to be 100% transparent, Renpho sent me this bike to do videos with it, so that's not gonna change anything about how I present this bike or my thoughts or opinions on it, or how I tell you how to build the bike. Just wanna let you guys know. So before we build the Renpho bike, I'd like to point out that the box that it comes in is actually relatively small for an indoor cycling bike, and in terms of weight, it actually weighs a lot less than most of the other indoor bikes that I have. So if you're concerned about a really heavy bike or a large box, the Renpho bike is actually pretty manageable in terms of its size and weight. So the very first thing you want to do when building this bike is actually flip the whole thing over and cut the box open on the bottom and then rotate it back over and pull the box off the top. And believe me when I say this is the best way to do it, because if you try flipping it on its side or any other method, they are all just way more difficult than doing it this way. It does say you should have 2 people to do this, but I'm just gonna do it on my own because I'm the only one here. So when you tip it up on the side, just be sure to be gentle, not to like slam it over. Just like real gentle, and it's not really that heavy. And then maybe come around to this side and kind of like tip it all over like this, and use your legs to kind of get down there and set it down gently. Now you just need a pair of scissors, and you just kind of cut the tape down here on the bottom. And check this out, Renpho has their own tape. This is how you know you're dealing with a major brand. So now with the tape open, you just obviously open up the 4 flaps and get them out of the way. And the only part that will cause you any sort of issue here is just make sure when you flip this box back down gently, just make sure that this flap is out of the way and it doesn't close back up on you. It might be beneficial to put on a pair of shoes or something just in case, make sure you keep your toes out of the way when you flip the box back down. And same thing, keep the flaps out of the way. Set it down gently. Don't smash your fingers down there. And now with all of the flaps out of the way, you can simply lift the box off the top. Easy peasy. And now from here, what I like to do is just set the box off to the side, upside down, and put the remainder of the styrofoam and all that in the box. So here's what everything looks like on the front of the box as you unpackage it. The pedals are neatly packaged into this little rectangle area over here by the seat. It looks like the seat is already on the bike here, so that should be pretty easy. And then up here on the top of the packaging is the tools and the bolts. And around here on the back side are the stabilizer feet. So you have one over here packaged up nicely in there, and then the other stabilizer bar is over here on the other side. So I just want to show you this, so in case you need to repackage it, you know where all of the stuff goes. Also, it looks like the handlebars are neatly packaged up inside here and just neatly wrapped around these foam inserts. Over on this side, there are no materials, and nothing on this side either. Underneath the tools and assembly materials, you'll find the power brick right here. And inside of that little packet, you'll find 3 separate items, including the tools and bolts. So you get the 15mm wrench for putting on the pedals and the Allen wrenches. So basically, it's just 2 separate little bolts here, pretty simple. You have 4 M10 screws and 4 M6 screws with washers. Also, there is a warranty registration card here. And then you get the user manual as well. So in case you need instructions and stuff, that is all inside of here. So you can grab your scissors and get the pedals out of here. A very first look at the pedals shows us that these are very beginner friendly pedals. They are just a single side, so they don't like flip over. You don't have like SPD clip-ins or anything, so you don't need any sort of special shoes for these pedals. Also, there is an independent strap here that we will be putting on in just a moment. So you can use just like normal shoes with these pedals, and then you can strap your foot down for that extra security. Also, taking a closer look at the threading on the actual pedal here, we see a little bit of blue Loctite, and this blue Loctite makes it so the pedal will be more likely to stick and stay on and not come loose and fall off. So some of the other indoor cycling bikes I have reviewed in the past have had issues with the pedals coming loose, but having just a little bit of blue Loctite on the pedal definitely helps keep it more secure on there. So now I'm just gonna remove the 2 stabilizer bars here. A first look at the stabilizer bars, they are pretty standard. There is a little bit of an arch to this one, which is kind of unique. Usually they're just like flat across. The mobility wheels seem just fine, just normal wheels. And one thing to note down here on the bottom is there are adjustability feet on all 4 corners, and they are rubber adjustability feet. So just in case your floor is not level like mine, you can use the 4 feet to adjust this thing to be level. Looks like you want to get the handlebars out next probably. And just to take note how the handlebars are packaged, this is what they look like. So after you cut open the tape, you open this up and they kind of just sit in here like this. The screen here is up on top. The tablet holder goes right here, and the handlebars kind of like wrap around down underneath this foam here. And on the other side, this is what it looks like. So just in case you need to put this thing back in the styrofoam for some reason. So we'll take the handlebars out of the styrofoam and take this little bag that they were in and just kind of set it right in here in the middle of the styrofoam, and then put this over in the box. First look at the handlebars. They are a very nice rubber coated material, very similar to all the other handlebars I have here. You can see it's a nice flat grip across the bottom. It's not round tubing. I actually like that. It has like a bigger surface area, that flat part on the top of the tubing. And then you get your position 2 here and position 3 out here. Also, here is the resistance adjustment knob, which actually looks really nice looking aesthetically. And you get a tablet holder out here in front. It looks like we will be plugging this part in just a moment. So now we will cut free the rest of the bike. So for the back side here, it looks like you can kind of grab onto the seat and lift it up a little bit to get the styrofoam out from underneath. Then you can take these styrofoams and just set them in your box. So the only little minor difficult part about this is it looks like the bike does sit on top of the styrofoam, so you got to kind of pull the styrofoam out from underneath the bike and not tip the bike over. So maybe just have a second person to help you out if you have somebody around. Just be careful with your fingers here. I'm just going to kind of slide the whole thing and see if I can get it to come free. Oh yeah, that'll just kind of slide right off to the side. Then after you slide this styrofoam piece off to the side, you can kind of get a handle on it right here and just kind of pick it up. And there you go. So I just put all the styrofoam and leftover packaging back in the box here. And finally, pull the plastic wrap off the top. Here's what the Renpho AI powered bike looks like after you get out of the box. A very simple, basic looking design, and the saddle's already up there on it for you, so you don't have to install that. The first step here is going to be to put the stabilizer bars on. So we'll get out the 4 M10 screws and also the 6mm Allen wrench. The stabilizer bar with the rolling wheels goes on the front, and the rolling wheels face forward. So you set the stabilizer bar here in front, and then you just kind of pick up the whole bike and just kind of move it forward and set it right there. Get your 2 screws, make sure it's the M10, and you kind of just drop it down in there, and you can start tightening it a little bit with your fingers. And drop the other one in there and just make sure it's lined up properly. Then you get out the wrench, and for starters, you can probably do it like this, because it'll be faster. Then after you get it pretty tight, go on over here to the other one. And get that one pretty tight. Then after each of them are pretty tight, then you can kind of turn the wrench this way to get a little extra torque on it and tighten them down tighter. And just kind of snug them both up a little bit. You don't got to go too crazy, but make sure they are secure. Now you can come around to the back side, and this one, the arch faces like this, and just set it kind of right here. Make sure you have your other 2 M10 screws. And you just kind of set it like that. Just be careful to watch your fingers and don't get your fingers pinched down here. I'd recommend picking the bike up from under here and just sliding this whole thing under. And it looks like this one is aligned for me, so I'm gonna go ahead and start that. And then get this second one aligned and get that one started as well. And now you can tighten these down a little bit with your Allen wrench. And then after you get them pretty tight, you can rotate it like this to get a little extra torque. And just kind of snug them up and just kind of alternate tightening up, you know, the left side then the right side to kind of keep them balanced. and just kind of snug them up. You don't got to go too crazy, but make sure it is secure. And while you're down here, you might want to take a moment to make sure the feet are sitting flat on the floor while you're just over in the area. So now you take the handlebars, and there is a little wire down here and also a wire coming out of here, and you just connect the two up. To be 100% clear, there is a little clip here on top, and this top clip part here, make sure that this part that has a little clip, you can also see there is a little clip on the top side of here. These two clips just go together. So just make sure it goes over the top there and clips into place, and you should be good to go. There's only one way for this to work. After you have that in there, just drop the whole handlebar assembly down in here. Just be sure to be gentle with your wires here and tuck them in appropriately, and then you just drop the whole handlebar assembly right down. So now we go back to our packaging and get the M6 screws, all 4, and then you use the other wrench for these. So you come up here on the front of the handlebars and just make sure that the holes are aligned. You might need to kind of play with this a little bit to get these holes lined up. But after they are lined up, you just kind of drop in your screws here. You can kind of get one started and then get the other started. So I needed to kind of pull up on the handlebars to get them lined up. Just kind of, if you grab on the handlebar here, you can move it a little bit if they're not lining up properly. Shouldn't be a big deal at all. So I just kind of grab on here to kind of wiggle it a little bit and get them lined up. Now over on the other side, there are 2 more screw holes. You need to put screws in there. Just kind of drop these in and start to tighten them up with your fingers a little bit. So after you get them kind of aligned, you can just kind of start using your wrench and they should go right into place. Also take note that these washers do have like a little bit of an arch to them, so kind of set the washers in the correct place as you begin to tighten it up. If you see a little gap like that, that means the washer is not in the correct place, and you just kind of need to rotate the whole thing. And then, it's hard to do with one hand. Come on, there we go. Okay, so there's flat. Well, it was flat. And then you can tighten it down. And after you tighten it down, it should look like that. If you're seeing any sort of separation with your washers, just rotate the washer before you tighten it down. So now the other 2 are pretty tight. I'm gonna tighten up these 2 pretty good and then go around and give them all one last little snug just to make sure everything is properly in place and not going to move on me once we're done building it. So you can give them one last pretty good little torque down, but again, you don't have to go crazy, just snug them all up equally. And now we will put the pedal straps on the pedals. So you can tell that this one goes on this side because there is the little hook right here. Also, there is a L listed on this pedal strap right here, and L is listed on this pedal as well. So this is the left pedal. So you kind of just hook it on over just like this. Make sure it's hooked up on there just like that. And this side, you just kind of drop it in there and push this button, and you could just set it like that for now. Then on the other side, you just repeat the same exact process. Drop that on over there and connect this in like that. Now we're gonna put the pedals on, but before we do that, I wanna let you know the right pedal is normal. You turn it clockwise to tighten it. The left side is opposite. You turn it counterclockwise to tighten it. I'll show you what I mean in just a moment. So for the pedals, let's get out our pedal wrench here. You can see here, this is the right crank arm and this is the right pedal. So right goes on right and the left pedal goes on the left side. Before you even start using your wrench at all, take the pedal and make sure that you have the threading lined up properly and start to turn this pedal on just with your hands. So you can just put it on like this and just kind of rotate it and get the threading aligned. Make sure it's lined up properly before you start using the wrench. After you turn the pedal a few times, just with your hand, it'll start to kind of go in there, as you can see. And then once it kind of stops, then you can get the wrench out. Using this method, instead of just jumping straight in and using the wrench right away, will help you ensure that you have the threading aligned properly so you don't strip the threading on the pedal or the crank arm. After you have everything lined up and started pretty good, then you can start using the wrench to tighten up the pedal. To get leverage, I'm putting the crank arm kind of back like this, and I'll be able to get my hand on top of it and just kind of push down and really kind of just secure it on there to make sure it doesn't come loose. So I'm going to turn this bike around real quick. Okay, I turned the whole thing around so you can get better lighting over on the left side here. So now we're over here on the left side, and make sure it's the left crank arm and the left pedal, which should be the only things you have left. And to tighten this pedal, you actually turn it counterclockwise. So this is very counterintuitive to all other building assembly things. It's very specific basically to left pedals on a crank arm. You turn it counterclockwise to tighten it. And again, what we're going to do is just get the threading started, turning the pedal just like this to make sure all of the threading is lined up, because we don't want to get out our wrench and cross thread anything and strip the threading. The pedal should be able to go in about this far, just turning it counterclockwise before you need to get your wrench out. But then, yeah, get your wrench out. Continue on turning counterclockwise until the pedal gets all the way snugged up to the crank arm, and then get your wrench in a place of leverage. For me, what I'm gonna do is just kind of give it a last little snug up here, just like this. And that should do it. And that's pretty much all you have to do to build the Renfo AI powered bike. The last final step here is to plug it in, and we'll do that now. Plug this part in down here. And I would like to point out down here, there is a little switch. There's a power switch down here that you can turn the bike on and off. So if your bike isn't turning on, make sure that is on. And you know what to do with the other side. Plug it into the wall. So I wonder what happens after you plug it in. Is it on? Oh yeah, so now it's on. Made a little beep noise. And we could peel this off, and here goes the resistance levels and stuff. Very nice, very beautiful display actually. I really like the look of the display. Also, I really like that it has torque displayed here in Newton meters. How neat is that? Before you get on the bike, you're gonna wanna make sure you adjust the seat height to where you want it and move it back and forth to where you want it, and also adjust the handlebars to where you want them. But this is simply a how to build and assembly video for the Renfo AI powered bike. I will have more videos coming on this bike very soon, so be sure to subscribe if you'd like to see more videos on the Renfo AI powered bike. So there you have it. It's a pretty easy build. If you're worried about building the Renfo bike and that's holding you back from buying it, don't worry about that. This is actually a relatively simple build process. If you have not bought the Renfo bike yet and you're considering buying it, I do have a link below this video in the description box, and if you buy it through that link, it will help support this channel and I would greatly appreciate it. So I hope this video on how to build the Renfo bike has been beneficial. If it has, please give me a thumbs up, and if you would like to see any other Renfo bike videos, browse my channel and find those and watch those. Also, be sure to click on that subscribe button, and I'll see you in my next video.